Nope. Gotta go. One more time. I got to go to a practice today, boys. Let's talk about it.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On Coyotes, #1 daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. I am your host, Robyn Leonio, alongside Matthew Jacobson. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And make every moment more right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. I'm your host, Robyn Leonio, alongside Matthew Jacobson. We got a little bonus episode for you guys on this wonderful Tuesday as we talk about a little bit of practice report. Matt and I went to practice yesterday before the Coyotes face off against the Kraken tonight. You heard our preview about that. Not really go more into that, but we talk about the practice, the absolute observations from practice, because, it doesn't happen in which our schedules align enough in which we're able to get to a practice like this. But we got the perfect opportunity to do it today or yesterday now, and it was definitely good getting some observations.
Yeah, we're talking about practice, and it was really cool to get to actually officially cover a practice, not just I'm gonna show up for rookie camp and you guys can't kick me out. But no, it was a really cool experience, and one thing I know we're gonna talk about it later, but I kind of want to leave with this. This team is the only team I think I've ever seen that actually looks like they like being around one another. It actually looks like they enjoy each other's company. Like when the practices are done, they're all just kind of messing around doing the shoot around, and they actually look like a team that wants to be around each other, not just this is work related.
Oh no, absolutely. I think it's in general like that. Even through practice, I think they through the drills and everything. It's just a team that looks like they're having fun playing hockey and fun being where they're at. Obviously we're not in the practice facilities of any of the other 31 other teams, so we can't say, hey, the Coyotes are this special. But it kind of gives it's a breath of fresh air to Coyotes fans to hear this, because you want a team that gels well together. You want a team that has fun with each other, because that's going to mean good chemistry, and that's going to mean that this team is going to be able to develop at a better pace because they understand each other.
Yeah, and just for a little bit of context, because my dad worked at Jobbing.com Arena, I got to watch a good amount of practices that were kind of closed off. I got to watch, obviously, the open rookie camps, open training camps from around that era when I started covering the team in 2018. So, I've seen a lot of, it looks standard. And that's the only way I can describe it, is a kind of standard operating procedure, not like everyone hates each other, but just business as usual type. I think that's the only time I've ever seen it where it looks like they're friends. Like, kind of a similar vibe to like me and my buddies playing D&D or something. Like, just everyone just kind of having a good time being there. And I think that's just something that is a positive thing to note, because especially with the frustrating mediocrity we've seen so far. Again, young team is what it is. That is something that can frustrate people. And the fact that they're not showing any signs of that, I think that means that they have the tools to bounce back a lot quicker.
Yeah, and a lot of that goes, and I think it shouldn't really surprise us all that much, because we talked about it many times over the offseason, that Bill Armstrong put together a team of people who wanted to be in Arizona. And I think that's a big thing, right? If you're going to have someone who doesn't want to be there, that kind of brings down negative energy, and it's going to change the dynamic of the locker room.
Yeah, that's just 100%. And I guarantee if you've ever had a coworker that just hates their job, it probably makes the days just go longer if you have to work with them for the day, like if you have to pair off or whatever. I guarantee anyone watching this can relate to that. So I hopefully I'm not that coworker, but I tend to be. But that wasn't the only thing I noticed. We'll get into it later about the confirmations or the timelines. But Jason Zucker was out there wearing an Anaheim Ducks jersey.
Yeah. Jason Zucker was wearing the non-contact jersey, which is a good sign that he's at least getting the skating in. He's getting ready to hopefully come back. We talked about it earlier in the week that he's supposed to come back at the end of the week. At least projected to. Again, we're probably gonna talk about it a little bit later when we get to some clips. But I feel like actually seeing him out on the ice, and if you follow Patrick Brown or Craig Morgan on Twitter, which I know 99.9% of you guys all do.
Yep.
Because those guys are awesome. But they reported it. They're out. They took pictures and they sent the picture out onto the Twitter sphere, and we're like, "Yep, Jason Zucker out here in his non-contact jersey out skating."
Side note: that's actually when Craig Morgan let me know I can go hang out with everyone else.
No,
they're all hanging out.
Like legit. Matthew was sitting in the corner, just like, I don't want to bother these guys, and I'm like, dude. We're all like colleagues here. Like, it's not gonna. So you just sat there, and then like
I sat there until Craig invited me over, and then I just saw myself from fangirling out when I saw Bob Ehouse, because it's always an absolute honor to talk to that man. I've been listening to him since I was a kid, like an actual child.
Yeah, I can tell you were having a blast talking to Heater.
Yep, 100%. I really hope I didn't annoy him too much.
Meanwhile, I was just chatting it up with Patrick Brown, but
Brown is a great dude, by the way. That's a great conversation.
I love him no matter what. I mean, and anyone who's listened to the show for as long as I've been on this show, know that we've had Browner on a couple times before he became the official Coyotes writer, and he was still with the Hockey Writers. So
humble beginnings. That man, humble beginnings. Has the right mindset, goes to work every day, and loves his job. This is a shout out to you, Browner. 100%, one of the best people I ever met so far in this community.
Absolutely. Any other initial observations you want to mention before we?
I'll probably touch on it a little more when we talk about Zucker in segment 2, but I noticed he seemed about a step behind. However, it was during skating drills. It's not game time yet, and he's still not 100% yet. It would make sense why you wouldn't be like, go out there at 120%.
We're at the beginning of the week. He's wearing a non-contact jersey, and he's projected at the earliest to come on Saturday's game. Mm-hmm. So now it's you take with that as much as you will. Anyways,
it's a grain of salt thing. It's not like a criticism of him. It's just a thing I noticed. He's probably he looks about a week away.
Exactly. Anyways, though, we're going to continue talking about this episode, talking about the practice, some of our observations, get to some clips from Andre Tourigny, and break down our thoughts from those clips. We'll get to all that in just a moment. But first, a quick word from our sponsors on today's show.
And today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Bet on the Coyotes? Sure. Bet on the Cardinals? Don't know why you would, but you can get $150. Anyway, if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get into the action than now. The app is easy to use, wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right, everyone, let's get back to, once again, this episode of Locked On Coyotes. As we continue to talk about observations from practice after Matthew, so after the practice, we got a chance to talk to to Coach Tourné, ask him a number of questions about some of those observations from practice. One of those was the discussion of Jason Zucker being back in his non-contact jersey, and kind of just asking, just checking and seeing where he is at in his timeline and coming back, and the kind of impact that he's made on the team and what's trying to looking for the feeling of when he's not around, I guess, that they've been getting.
Presence? Is that the word
there
you're
you go.
for?
Exactly. Yeah, something around there. Anyways, let's get to the clip from Tourné, and then we'll break it down.
That's exactly the timeline, but I just talked to him. He feels really good, so it's good. Yeah. The player and the person, he's good. Zucker's in a lot of life. He has.
He can talk.
You know what?
Oh, yeah, he
brings a lot.
How much have you missed him? And in what ways?
Well, he's a good player. We miss him in everything he can bring. Zuck is a good leader. He has a voice. He has energy. He has enthusiasm. That is great. He's a veteran. He's been there, done that. He's been through good and bad. He brings that to our team, that kind of a confidence. Plus, he's a veteran player who's really competitive in his battle. He has speed and good skill, and he knows how to play the game. So he brings a lot to our team when he's on the ice, obviously. But we're missing him.
Can I just say real quick? It's not likely, and I'm a little sad that it's not likely. If Jason Zucker ends up re-signing here on like a 3-year contract to be with this team through this, I would not be surprised if he got to see. Like, it's kind of, if Krause does, as we talked about in the last episode, like steps up and takes charge, I could see that happening. I also, especially with how highly he spoke about, I could see Jason Zucker making an argument if he was here for a longer period of time.
Yeah, because you can see the impact he makes just by being around the team. Right. And of course, it's also beneficial that he is a pretty solid top 6 player and makes an impact on the ice as well, which I think we got a chance to see in the first few games, especially because he was on the same line as Logan Cooley.
Yep. And like I said in one of the last episodes, I think Cooley picked up a lot from him, because if you look at how Cooley plays, his motor, especially how he gets involved in the forecheck and the back check, it's good. It's good energy he brings, especially the offensive zone. I think he got a lot of that from Zucker, because if you watch the two play, it's a very similar engine, very similar drive they have when they're out there.
Absolutely, and that's nice to be able to have a guy like Zucker be that, essentially be that teacher to Logan Cooley, and of course Logan Cooley is going to end up being a whole different level of player when all is said and done. But you still need a veteran presence like that, and it helps.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, guys like Mueller and Turris, when they were here, they didn't quite have. You had Donor, obviously, but they didn't quite have like that kind of. It feels almost one-on-one. Like, to me, it feels like a one-on-one type thing. So that's how I'm going to choose to describe it. They didn't really have that, and I feel like that means that Cooley so far is in good hands with his development. That tells me that the coaching staff kind of knows what they're doing, pairing up guys.
And I think it's probably also chemistry too. Maybe just maybe in general that they found out that on the ice they just mesh together perfectly.
It definitely seems like it. I know that when he comes back to the lineup, I wouldn't be surprised if Cooley's numbers go up a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm not asking for too much. I wouldn't be surprised if they go up a little bit.
Getting back to 2 assists a game.
Yeah, back to a point and a half a game pace.
Logan Cooley is on pace for 300 points.
Logan Cooley, 70 goals. What? And he did it in 20 games. Wayne Gretzky, eat your heart out. But seriously, I think he has a major impact on Cooley specifically and the rest of the team. Like, you can kind of tell who, whenever they were kind of joshing around a little bit, who is in the middle of all of it every single time. It's Jason Zucker.
Yep.
Every time. So, I know we have to move on to the next point, but I'm starting to really feel like I wish he would potentially be a piece moving forward. If this team is further along the development than they should be, I really wish they could re-sign him.
I mean, I guess that's the hope, right? But again, as we were talking, on the ice at the game, at the practice, I should say, there, that it seems like it's likely that it's not going to happen. It's going to be. I mean, you never know. Maybe it could be like one of those times in which, like, get like the Nick Bukestad effect, right?
You can hope, but the only difference is that Zucker, if he keeps playing well, has a legitimate chance of going to a contender. And they gave Bukestad that chance last year. He ends up coming back, but it's just, I feel like he was already good in Pittsburgh. If he maintains that in Arizona, the cap goes up. He could probably secure a solid 3-4 year contract.
Yeah, it certainly is possible. Anyways, though. Let's move on to the our next point of clips that we have on here, Matthew. You asked Coach Tournay a pretty important question that we were talking about just the other day. If a team that just is unable to finish these games and hold on to their leads and just learn and figure out to play with the lead. And I actually thought that that Coach had a really, really good response to that.
Yeah, it was excellent, and I kind of felt like a little I might have messed up how I phrased it, but listening back to the answer, I think it was honestly a really good answer. So if you want to roll the clip,
let's go.
Coach, 2 of the last 3 home games, this team's kind of struggled to maintain the lead. What's the messaging in the locker room right now to get those adjustments so that they can hold leads?
That's a result. We cannot focus on that. We have to focus on what lead to that. And I think we're a really effective team when our pressure in the puck here is really hard. We got time and space on our opponent, and our system is built around that. And we don't have that. We have breakdown, and we're not as effective. So we're building that. I think we're getting better every game, and we need to keep getting better. If you look. If I was going in detail, structure-wise during the week, I will say again, winning was tough for us to be on every detail mentally. We had the thought process, but we were late on our action. That created some breakdown in a session for them. We did it early in the game. We had success. When the game went on, we didn't manage the puck as good on a few situations, and that created us to have to waste a lot of energy defending instead to waste spending energy on attacking, putting pressure and dictate the play. Thanks, man.
Great answer, by the way.
Fantastic
answer.
Fantastic answer. And and I think that's the most important bit. He kind of really hit it perfectly. Is that the team is fantastic when they've got that really good forecheck pressure. If they let off the gas, when it just let it off just a little bit, when they get a little complacent, that's when that starts to fall apart.
Yeah, and one of the things he said, there's a couple points I really wanted to focus on. Mm-hmm. One of them was mentally we know what we need to do, and we're like a step behind, and that you could chalk it up a little bit to like the overthinking aspect as well. But it also, the second you get that step behind, you're going to either put extra pressure on yourself or you're going to get sloppy. And right there, you get that step behind, you get sloppy. The opposing team takes advantage. And I forget who said it at the practice, so but they're saying that other teams have that urgency and know how to play against them. Like playoff teams, teams that go to the playoffs, know what urgency to bring, and that's why they can take advantage of it in the third period. So it's really interesting that he kind of hits right on that as well. And there's a lot of hockey knowledge going on, by the way, in this small group of people. It's a phenomenal group of people, but I really, really like that answer because it kind of perfectly explains everything. And once you could get the mental side perfectly in sync with the physical side again, I think the team will be just fine.
Yeah. I also like that it's important that he kind of started off as saying, though that's a result thing.
Mhm.
You know, we're going to try not to focus on, what the result was, but how we got there.
Yes, that's important because it's not just the cliche of, oh, yeah, you got to let that one go off your shoulder, which you kind of do.
Yeah.
You do need to have a short memory in sports because you can't be thinking about 2 weeks ago on the ice. You got to be thinking about the team in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also just, yeah, we don't care, not care. We are not going to focus on the loss. We're going to focus on how we lost. And that shows me that he already knows what the issue is. He has the correct mindset to, we want to fix the problem, the actual issue, not just a symptom of it. And getting to talk to him gives me that little bit of questioning I had is like, hey, it's going to be his first major hurdle. I kind of don't even know if it's a hurdle anymore. Obviously, talking and actions are different, but he knows exactly what it is. And that gives me so much confidence that it'll be adjusted and they'll be able to fix it.
Oh, absolutely. Anything else from the clip that you want to bring out before we get to our closing thoughts segment?
I remember there was one part in the middle. I'm just forgetting the exact word. I wanted to attack it, but you can't play the entire clip again.
No.
But it's just I didn't really think about fatigue as a thing, and obviously Coach Bear would never bring up fatigue because that would be an excuse. But I can't help but feel that if they know what the issue is mentally, maybe the couple of days does them good. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Maybe that's what it is. And like you got to think that they're, again, putting those pieces together. Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, it was 2 out of those 3 games, and those games were just a week apart from each other. But I think the other thing that they, there's a couple other things you got to think about in terms of that. One is the talent of the team that you're going against, and 2, it's just focusing on just regathering yourself and figuring out what did work, right? That's what I'm trying to get. Figuring out what did work in those games, what worked in the games that you played in between, what worked against Chicago. Granted, that was Chicago, so that game was kind
you're
of
playing an AHL team. You were for that game. You were
um.
playing the Sharks in that game.
Oh, let's not go there yet. Let's not go there. Sharks are a whole nother level of bad.
They beat them 8-1, Robyn. What's the difference between
Yeah,
8-1 and 10-1?
Yeah, but the Sharks did it twice in a row, back to back.
I can't wait for the Coyotes to play them next month. Watch, then they'll figure this stuff out. But anyway, it's like, yeah, not wasting the energy having to defend a bunch of extra times with bad turnovers. I feel like they're gonna adjust there too.
We're gonna get to our final thoughts on this episode. Kind of wrap this up with a little bow, talking about practice, because practice is what makes perfect, right? Anyway, more cliches. I just can't do it for myself right now. We're gonna continue right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Clayton Keller could score 50 goals. Could the Arizona Coyotes hoist the Stanley Cup? And you can win big on playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our #1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win up to 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you got to do is pick what players are going to win to win those 100 times money. You can play alongside your friends, and not just with hockey. You can do it with NFL, NBA, MLB, college football, all on Sleeper. You can enter groups and have a chat functionality with your in the app that connect with other fans. Entries can be made in under a minute. All you got to do is select whether or not players like Clayton Keller or Logan Cooley or Jason Zucker even will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, plus, minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times bet on Sleeper, all you need to do is correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Coyotes fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper, so start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper terms of use for details and locational availability. All right, Matthew, let's finish up our thoughts as we wrap things up from practice on Monday, as we got a good practice report and got a chance to get some good observations.
Yeah, it's just this team. I know I joked, and it was a joke. It was legitimately just a joke about like, oh, every time I'm involved with the team, they're coming off a blow up loss or whatever. They did not look like it. Like for the fan fest, legitimately, the players when they first entered did not look very happy, and that was directly after the Kings loss. It looked like they didn't even come off this game. This looked like they might have come off the 3-2 edge out win against Montreal. It was a team that seemed to not even really care, and they were right back to work, right back to just being together out there on the ice, and it's really interesting. It has to speak to a culture thing within that locker room to some extent because obviously no one likes to lose, and I'm not trying to claim that they're okay with losing, but to be able to brush it off so efficiently, so quickly, and get right back to what you do best and right back to kind of working your game, I think that is something to respect and to
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I feel like I forgot, who said it at one point. It might have been through a different sport or whatever it was, but there's situations where players have essentially, I think like like I think it's like a 1-0 mentality, whatever, where it's like it's just like just restarting, or it's like it's an ON mentality, whatever the term they used was. It's just every game is a fresh start.
And it's a good mentality because if you have let's say the Coyotes have 10 games left, they're 3 points out of the playoffs. Would you rather look at it as we have to win X amount of games, or let's play the opponent in front of us and we have to win this game? Next game, we got to play the opponent in front of us, have to win this game, and just treating it like the one-off. I feel like that's probably the better way to handle it.
Oh, absolutely. Because I feel like if you look at big picture too much in the game, it's definitely gonna lead to some fatigue down the road. If you go through that O and or that 1-0 or whatever, one-handed mentality, whatever the term is, that's gonna help you, keep the energy going. And I feel like that's gonna help this team, I think, moving forward. I think another big impact once again, as we mentioned earlier, is Jason Zucker coming back. Maybe that's the difference, right? Because we saw his first practice back, but
yeah, it could be. And I'm not gonna lie, as a content creator, you're 100% correct on the focusing on big picture too much. It weighs you down. It makes you overthink, and sometimes, again, the simplicity. I think we said that word way too many times today. Throughout the 2 episodes, it's just simplicity, and if you can keep it simple, I feel like you're going to succeed a little more. So I don't know. I like it. I'm still a little cautious. Obviously, I have to see some more games post these couple of losses, but the Seattle game, I'm even more confident in now.
I mean, these next 3 games, I think, are really going to be telling. The Seattle game tonight, as well as you got the Blues on Thursday in St. Louis. Once again, Clayton Keller can be Clayton Keller stuff again, and then you have Nashville on Saturday when the projected game in Zucker should be back. Again, it's not a confirmation. It's not saying he will be, but should be. That's around the timeline. They might decide to just delay it back an extra game, but
they should be able to win those 3. I feel like every single one of those games is winnable.
They're winnable games.
They're
Absolutely.
all winnable.
Based off the team,
I'm not concerned unless they go less than 2-3 in these next 3 games.
That's fair.
That's all I got for you. I'm not going to be concerned unless they go like 1-3 or 0-3, or 1-2 or 0-3 in these next 3. I won't be concerned.
That's fair. No, 100%. I am 100% with you. Any final thoughts before we finally wrap this up with the bow?
Keep pucks deep. Keep pucks to the net. And what's mock games?
Anyway, that's going to be it for today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube, the SiriusXM radio app, and ad-free on Amazon Music. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, and on X at LO_Coyotes. I am personally at Robyn_Leonio, Matthew Jacobson, back on X at the AZ Sports Guy. Interact with us, ask a question you might have. We might answer right back or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.